Well, this is another episode of the Farm News Cab Cam, sponsored by Tri-County Equipment. And today, I'm up in the Saginaw Bay region with Mark Sylvester of Sylvester Farms. We're about a half mile off the Saginaw Bay. Appreciate you letting me ride along, Mark.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming.
So, Mark, tell me a little bit about your farm. Who's all involved?
It's a partnership between myself, my mom, and Dad, Rich and Nancy Sylvester. I have 4 full-time employees that work for us, as well as my sister in the office, and she helps out in the field quite a bit. My wife, and she helps out when she can with doing stuff, and I got 2 little boys that I'm kind of hoping that they maybe become part of the farm someday as well. So
Awesome. How old are your boys?
6 and 4. Lincoln is 6 and Ivan is 4.
Awesome. Well, fun ages.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So we're harvesting sugar beets here. Tell us a little bit about the machine that you're operating.
This is a 2014 Vervat XL25. It was the second year that they were brought into Michigan they're built in the Netherlands. In 2013 there was one machine that Tri-County had sold, and in 14 they sold 4 of them, and I think there's a total of about 11 or 12 of these machines here in Michigan right now, and as far as I know, the only ones in the U.S. There's a couple of them over in Canada that are also they harvest beets, grow beets for Michigan sugar as well.
You know, the sugar beet harvester, it's a big investment to make for growers. You know, when you bought this machine, how did you make the decision to go with the Vervet?
We like the design of the cleaning where it comes off the lifters with the turbine design versus the grab rolls, and we just feel that it does a better job in all conditions. It's been real happy with us. To buy it from a dealer that's in business for a long time as well has really kind of helped make the decision to go with this brand as well. And
so to have a dealer locally that you've been working with, Tri-County.
Exactly. Yep. Somebody that we know and we trust, and they actually have 2 of these machines as well on their own farm, Wadsworth Stew, and like I say, somebody know that you can trust, and having a dealer network really makes a difference to me when it comes to buying something.
Have you had many issues with the harvester since you've had it?
Nothing major. You know, when you get all these electronics, you're going to have problems of some sorts. But you know, when it comes to major issues, no, nothing terrible.
So how many acres of sugar beets will you guys harvest this year with the machine?
Right about 700 this year, and that's where we've been for the last few years. Been increasing over the years as time goes by. Early dig started a little bit later this year. A week ago, Monday on the 9th. The tonnage isn't quite as good as it has been in the last couple of years because of the lack of rain this summer, but the sugar percentages have been very, very good, and so we're hoping that offsets and we can still do well making a profit this year.
Now, you serve on the sugar board, right?
Yes, I'm on the board of directors. Yep.
So you're part of Michigan Sugar Cooperative, which is grower owned.
Yep.
How many years have you been serving on the board?
This is actually my first year on the board of directors. I was on the Central District board for 8 years previous. My dad was on the board of directors for 6 years before that, and on the Monitor Sugar board for being about 18 years before that. And my grandpa, his dad, was on the Monitor Sugar board for about 20 years. So
wow.
There's been a Sylvester on a beet board for
many years,
for 50 years now.
So you know, what would you tell growers that may not be serving in those capacities? You know, why do you do it?
Well, it's sugar beets have always been the one crop that is the one that we can make money on. There's been tough times for sure, but we know that it's something that can be profitable. And beets is probably the crop that I put my heart into most. My dad and I always joke around how like corn and soybeans, they're just a rotation crop, just a cover crop. And yeah, there's been years where you made good money on them, but you know, and that was kind of an oddity, especially, you know, when I was growing up, it was always beets. You know, we focus our farm on how we prepare things and cover crops, and we always focus on beets on our own personal farm. I think a lot of guys are that way.
So with the sugar beet, it's a high managed crop, right? I mean, it takes a lot goes into sugar beets. A lot of people don't know that if you're not into beets. Talk about the management of the beets and what the growing season was like this year.
For ourselves, getting the beets planted wasn't too bad. We were able to get in. Most of my beets were planted between the 9th, actually it would have been the 7th and 10th of April. I had one field planted on the 28th of April, which still really isn't considered late for us. If we can get them in by the 1st of May, we're pretty happy. When it come to Roundup sprays, glyphosate sprays, that was touchy. We added a sprayer because in June there was so much rain. It was a hard time keeping up with one machine. Then it kind of quit raining, and then you go into leaf spot, spraying for Sugarbeet leaf spot and Alternaria, and it quit raining, and the disease is definitely not, it's present, but definitely not severe this year, which is a good thing.
So how many times were these beets sprayed?
This field here was sprayed with Roundup 3 times, and one of those times was also with a fungicide, and there was it have been 6 fungicide sprays.
Wow.
So
over the last 10 years, what do you think the biggest game changer has been in sugar beets?
Well, in the last 10 years, I would actually probably say more like the last 12 years. Okay. The commercialization of Roundup Ready beets, along with having varieties that have nematode tolerance, has greatly increased our yields. There's some farms you just couldn't grow beets on, whether because they just had too much weed pressure. I mean, you could grow them, but you had a lot of labor into it. That has really helped, and guys have taken the extra step of adding products in with the Roundup to stop spread of Roundup resistant weeds. And then with nematodes, especially up here by the Saginaw Bay, anywhere where they've been growing beets for 100 years, anywhere near the factories, Sebring, Croswell, Carroll, Bay City, nematodes are definitely present, and that has definitely increased yields. I don't know, 5 ton or so maybe per acre, I'm guessing.
Interesting. So what's a good average per ton return on beets? What are you hoping for?
I shoot for an average of 35 ton. Starting early on in the year, I kind of shoot for a 30-ton average, and when we finish up, I'm shooting for 40 ton. That's kind of my goal year to year. I've only ever hit 40 ton on 3 different fields, and one of them was last year. I know it's capable. It's all about getting the right weather at the right time, and it all starts out in the spring and actually the fall before ground preparation, and in the spring with planting at the right time and everything else. So
now, I married into a beet family, and I remember 15 years ago when I married my wife, hearing 20-ton beets.
Right.
What's changed in 15 years that the yields have almost doubled?
I think between practices and the genetics, the GMO, the Roundup has helped tremendously. The nematodes, the genetics, the disease packages that the seed companies have put together have really helped out. And
you think that's true in other areas like the Red River Valley and other?
Absolutely, yes.
So that's
not just Michigan. That's everywhere.
Okay. Talk a little bit about the sugar facilities. How many different facilities is there where you guys are making sugar?
There's 4 processing plants. Like I said, Bay City is our largest, then Sebring, Croswell, and Carroll. We also have storage facilities, warehousing, and used to be plants in Carlton, Michigan, and Findlay, Ohio as well.
Okay. And where will these beets go, and how are they getting there?
These we harvest. We take everything to Bay City. Where we're kind of located in the central location of Bay City, Carroll, and Sebring. It's all within about a mile or two. It's 16 to 18 miles one way from our farm.
So these are going directly to the factory.
Yep, these go directly to Bay City. Yep.
Whereas some growers are piling them on the head lanes. Or
Yeah,
or
there's
piling
some.
them
Yep,
ground.
the ones that they, especially in early delivery, they have the mouse programs now. For the ones that instead of opening the outstations, there are the mouse cleaner loaders that will come in and just they'll load the beets in commercial trucks. Guys, not as many guys. Some of them don't have as many trucks. It's harder to get drivers. It's a long distance. That has been a good money saver for Michigan Sugar on the freight side when it comes to early delivery. Yep.
You guys, speaking of labor, do you have any challenges finding good help on the farm here?
We're pretty fortunate. Like I said, I got 4 full-time guys that I wouldn't trade for the world.
Okay.
Got some part-time guys that are just, a couple of them been with us for 20 years, driving truck. Some good family friends that'll help out, on weekends and nights. And we're fortunate. It's definitely harder. I know you look at one of our neighbors is a trucking company, excavating trucking company, and trying to find good people is hard because all the good ones have got jobs, and that's a good thing. That means industry is booming and the economy is going, and that's good to see. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about Tri-County equipment. I know you said that service is essential for you and having good service. Talk about the other equipment that you run on the farm. I'm sitting here looking at a 9460R. What else do you use Tri-County for?
We have all John Deere tractors, our John Deere combine, John Deere sprayer. We get a majority of our parts from them. This 9460R did come from them, that we actually bought from them. We have an 8330 we bought. I get all my tractors and combine checked over by the guys in Reese, Tri-County location. They do an excellent job. Like I say, the Wadsworth family, they've been real good to the industry, the ag industry, and works out pretty good.
So a lot of moving parts on this harvester. What's the most common thing that breaks down on a self-propelled harvester?
Honestly, there really isn't much of a common thing. We haven't not had. I would say our biggest issues has been some electrical controller, computer type issues. Just actually had to replace the touchscreen this year when I got it out of storage this spring. It just wouldn't fire up. That had to be replaced. But when you have technology, that was probably our biggest concern, and it really hasn't been that big of a price problem. It's just one of those things that you got to get fixed. But no, compared to our previous, we used to have an Artsway 692, which was an excellent machine. I don't break down anymore.
That's awesome.
It just works. It was definitely a big investment. Super happy that we did it. Wouldn't ever consider going back to a pull type, and like I said before, glad to have Tri-County as they're backing us up. We've been real happy with them.
Mark, I really appreciate letting us come out today. This has been another episode of Farm News Cab Cam, brought to you by Tri-County Equipment. Thanks for letting us come along, and until next time, we'll catch you down the road.
Absolutely, thank you.